Born in 1960 in Malaga, Spain, as a child Antonio Banderas dreamt of becoming a professional soccer star. But after a broken foot at 14 destroyed his sporting aspirations, he redirected his focus to acting and became the youngest member of the prestigious National Theatre of Spain. After starring in a string of Spanish films, in 1992 he made his Hollywood film debut in The Mambo Kings. Unable to speak English, Antonio had to learn his lines phonetically for the role, and as a result, audiences found him hard to understand, but his screen presence was undeniable. Hollywood took notice, and it led to a string of supporting roles alongside big-name actors in films like Philadelphia, Interview with a Vampire, and Assassins. But Banderas got his big break and first starring role in Robert Rodriguez's 1995 hit Desperado. Now a proven leading man, Antonio starred opposite Madonna in the film adaptation of Evita, before taking on one of his most famous roles as the masked Avenger in The Mask of Zorro.
I think Zorro is the only one Spanish hero created in Hollywood. So the fact of being filming in Mexico, in Spanish land, for me is a big support. It's just everything, the architecture, the people, the culture, the folklore, everything that I have around is supporting the figure of Zorro as a Spanish hero.
Banderas plays the apprentice of the original Zorro, played by the great Sir Anthony Hopkins, whose legendary status was not lost on Antonio.
When you are in front of an actor like that, first couple of days, believe me, your legs shake a little bit. It's kind of wow.
Despite being in complete awe of Sir Anthony, the film's director Martin Campbell found Antonio to be a consummate professional on set.
The truth is that he's a very fine actor, and one of his great sort of attributes is a sense of humour. He really does have a sense of humour, and that comes across because it is a funny film. There's a lot of humour in the movie, and combining his physical prowess with his acting ability, his sense of humour, and a sense of compassion. I mean, he's got everything.
And paired with Catherine Zeta-Jones, their sexual tension and electric chemistry meant they sizzled on screen, and she loved the experience.
Antonio has so much energy. It's unbelievable. And also a generous energy, you know, as an actor. He's so generous. It's so nice to work with him. And just, you know, we had such fun in the training, you know, and he's just got great ideas, and he's always busy, you know. I just love that. It's like, you know, you think, my God, your energy level comes up. You know, I've got a lot of energy too, so together we're like, you know, a bit crazy.
Drawing on his athletic roots, Antonio did many of the stunts himself and took preparation very seriously. To perfect the sexy, macho, swashbuckling Zorro, he learnt to ride a horse and trained with the Spanish Olympic fencing team, at first learning to fight with the real steel swords, then changing to lighter aluminium for the movie.
Basically what we do is just to learn all the choreographies, knowing at the same time that we have swords in our hands that is potentially dangerous, and when you're working with those things for 14 hours, situations start getting funny, people getting out of focus and swords going everywhere, even the eyes. So it's fun and it's not fun.
What was fun was Spy Kids. In 2001, Antonio starred as a retired secret agent whose kids come to his rescue after he's caught by villains. Audiences everywhere loved the film. A huge success, it went on to spawn 2 sequels.
We thought that we were making a movie for kids only. And the surprise came when we started receiving the feedback from the people who went to see the movie. And the parents, I remember parents telling me, normally I go with my kids to the movie theater and they just yawn all the time. And it was not the case with Spy Kids.
Married to actress Melanie Griffiths, Antonio is a devoted parent to their daughter Stella, and fatherhood has influenced not only the roles he chooses, but also his attitude to work.
In the days that we are living, in the world that we are living, I think those movies are not only fun, I think those movies today are necessary for many people, you know, and also it's fun.
In 2004, Banderas once again teamed up with writer-director Robert Rodriguez and an all-star cast for the Desperado sequel, Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
The movie plays almost like a rock and roll, the first one, like a rock and roll record. You can just go scene by scene and independently one from each other, they make sense. They are this kind of visual fantasy, action visual fantasy.
And as usual, Antonio wanted to perform his own stunts, and he got his way.
I remember Antonio was saying, because we just started shooting, and he was like, when am I gonna do some big stunts? I haven't done any big stunts yet, let me to work. When he came down after doing that hotel escape, he said, you don't have to make me sweat anymore. His hands were trembling from holding on and from holding up Salma, and just having to hold himself up that whole day, you know. It was pretty very physically demanding, but it looks fantastic, because you can see they're there, they're swinging, and they're on the side of this building, and that's it, we're in Mexico, man. There's no stage, there's no pads, because we're looking straight down at the street.
Antonio then featured in another hugely successful kids franchise, Shrek 2. And he gave his macho, sexy, swashbuckling persona a catty twist when he lent his voice to the character of Puss in Boots, who became a favourite of many.
I think my favorite thing in the entire movie is Puss in Boots. I'm a huge fan of Antonio Banderas, and in my next life, I will look like him and sound like him. He is funny and charming, and that little cat is so sweet. I want to take that cat home and have him be my pet.
I have the opportunity, actually, in this movie of taking a little laugh on Zorro's character. Serious, arrogant, brilliant, very sly. And in this character, what I try to do is just to actually laugh of myself a little bit. So the accent collaborates perfect for the character, because he was to be from Spain. And just to make him a little bit softer and play with a cartoon quality.
And his distinctive voice was perfect for the cheeky cat. But for Antonio, there's more to Puss in Boots than how he sounds.
It was very well conceived, and all I had to do is just to him have a voice, and that was very good, but the character was already a winner. I remember that because when they called me for the first time, they showed me in a big room, you know, the whole entire movie, but just with drawings and on the wall. And when I saw the cat, I just fell in love with him immediately, and way before I even put the voice on him. He got a very strong personality, and in a body that doesn't correspond to that. The body is very sweet, very little. You want to cuddle him, but the guy is totally out of his body, you know, in terms of how he behaves and how he presents himself to the world. And that contrast, I think, made the cat very appealing.
Not only did he love exploring the character, but was also fascinated by and enjoyed being involved with animation.
It's a totally different process to anything that I have done before in my life. But it's definitely fun, and I understand the success of the first part is also because of the team that they have here. It's brilliant, and brilliant not only in what they do, drawing, or in the computer animation, the computer wizards that they may have there, you imagine they are there, is the creative process of the whole movie, what it makes this very shining and very brilliant.
The success of the film meant that all of a sudden Antonio had a new legion of fans, and Puss's popularity has seen the slating of a film centred on him titled Puss in Boots.
Every woman, since I have done this character, they I love your cat. They don't say, I love Zorro anymore.
Antonio is famous for playing fiery and passionate characters, but in real life, he believes in something deeper than passion.
At the beginning, especially of our relationship, I think passion and all the irrational size of love that you may imagine comes to you at the beginning. I think there is even a chemical reaction in your brain. I read about something like that. The people feel more energetic, more alive, more themselves, right? But passion, for me, from my point of view, has a specific time. Mm-hmm. After that time, it goes to different states in a relationship.
His marriage to Melanie Griffiths is one of the enduring relationships of Hollywood. Antonio first saw her in the 1986 film Something Wild. Taken by her beauty, he told a Spanish magazine that he'd like to meet her. Moving on from prior relationships, they married in 1996, and he has since directed Melanie in 1999's Crazy in Alabama, his directorial debut, in which their daughter Stella also had a role. So what does Antonio think is the key to having a successful relationship?
I think the secret is just to learn to love in the everyday life. In the everyday life, where the good and the bad is all together. You know, not in the big, passionate, pink world, but down here to earth. We were both coming from failing relationships, and we both learned pretty much about that. I think, as I said before, there is a concept totally misused in these days. It's called love, a word that people just forgot, and we have love for each other, and that's why we can just overcome every crisis and every obstacle that we may find in our way.
And he's also helping others overcome their own personal crises, working with the UN as a goodwill ambassador for the global fight against poverty. Antonio Banderas' charm, sense of humour and charisma has seen him play everything from a Latin lover to an ogre-slaying cat. He is a true Hollywood star. Stay tuned to Star Picks for all of the movies you know and the actors you love. Broadcast in glorious high definition with 5.1 surround sound where available. For more of the best in entertainment news, check out your Movie Network channels. It's altogether better, on screen and at mnc.tv.